Welcome everyone, and thanks for checking out the video today. My name is Justin McInturf, and I'm with Concept. And today I just wanted to talk about a popular topic in B2B sales and marketing, and that's personalization. So we all know that sales and marketing professionals from around the world are trying to figure out new ways to engage their target audience and try to stand out from the cluttered inbox that most decision makers are actually dealing with today. We all know that email marketing has been on the up, especially since the impact of COVID-19. So most of our inboxes are a lot more cluttered than they used to be. So this really begs the question of how can I start a meaningful conversation with a prospect that's getting bombarded with content? And most of us are trying to solve this by tailoring our message to that specific person as best as we possibly can. But that brings up another question. How can I personalize my outreach to prospects at scale to make sure that my team is still efficient, right? Because it's easy to say, well, I want to do a ton of research about a specific company or a specific prospect, and I want to write a tailored email directly to him or her. But that takes a ton of time, and it's not necessarily feasible, especially when you have a big group, a big team that's trying to cover a lot of ground, or a small team that's trying to cover a lot of ground. But there's a lot of smart people that are out there trying to tackle this, and I just really wanted to touch on how we at Concept are approaching and trying to tackle a piece of this issue utilizing one of the tools that we have at our disposal. So what you'll see on the screen here is actually Hubspot Sales Hub, and what we use as one of the pieces to this puzzle is a tool called Sequences. It's basically a sales cadence. There's a lot of other options out there that you've probably heard of. But we use HubSpot, the Sales Hub platform, because we use HubSpot Marketing Hub for our marketing automation, and it was just a seamless integration of the systems. We didn't have to go out, procure another software and try to integrate that into our environment. Today, it all fits relatively nicely because we already have it synced up and integrated with our Salesforce.com instance as well. So I just wanted to jump in here and show a couple examples of how we're utilizing HubSpot to try to personalize and tailor our message to a specific audience. So right here on the sequence home screen, you can create a new sequence if you want. It'll allow you to build it from scratch, or you can use a number of different templates that HubSpot has put together to get you started if you've never done it before. But what you'll see on the screen here is a couple folders that we utilize. So there's a ton of sequences that you can create. You can see that we have access to creating over 1,000, but that can get really messy. So we try to categorize them by what's the point of that outreach. So we have sequences that are dedicated to specific events. So if there's a trade show or a networking event that we have coming up and we want to try to drive traffic or capitalize on that audience, we have messaging as a part of those sequences specifically to those events. Similarly, you'll see industry specific sequences. But then I wanted to jump into another way that we're personalizing the sequence outreach. So obviously we're tailoring our message in the emails to those specific outreach goals, but I want to jump in here and just show you something that I've tried to do with my team that takes a little bit more time, but ultimately allows you to personalize that message a little bit better. So you can see here there's a lot of analytics regarding the sequence, but that's not the number one thing that I want to talk about today. We utilize this data to try to improve on our outreach and sequence approach so that we can continually get better over time and figure out which sequences are actually moving the needle for us. But I just want to edit this sequence. And what you'll see here is a combination of call tasks and automated emails that are going to be sent out at a specific interval, right? So I can manipulate this to say that I want the task to schedule 1 day after the email is originally sent, and the email to be sent 5 days after the task before that, and so on and so forth. But when I create my emails at the very beginning, this is specific to a lost opportunity re-engagement. So if one of my reps has an opportunity that they ended up losing, or we have one from past history of the company, we want to try to reach back out and engage with that former customer to try to see if there might be a need for us to work together again because we did once in the past. So what I've been doing is reaching out with a message that's a little bit different than I would with a typical cold outreach for a cold prospect. So what I'm doing in here is you'll see I'm inserting a line that I'm bold and putting in parentheses so that my team knows that they need to make an edit to this email before they actually send it out to the prospect. So what I'm trying to do is keep my email as generic as I can while also being a little bit more personalized for this specific environment. But I want to get even more personal with this email so that my prospect knows, that I'm spending time researching what we worked on in the past, why we think we're different, and then ultimately trying to come up with a compelling argument for them to want to re-engage and have another conversation with us. So what my team will see is when they go to enroll a contact in this sequence, they'll actually notice a line where they have to do a little bit more work. So I just want to jump back out to show you what that looks like from enrolling from the rep's perspective. So I'm just going to look for myself here in the system. And one of the cool things from HubSpot is that I can enroll contacts directly in the sequence, directly from their contact record in the system. So if I click on email here, and then I just have to hit sequences at the top, and it's going to give me a choice of sequences to enroll in. So I know that I'm going back to this lost opportunity re-engagement sequence, and I can just select that, and it's going to pull up all of the items associated with that sequence. So you'll now see that first email that we looked at, and as a rep, I have the ability to edit this email before I send it. So since I see that bold there, I know that I gotta delete that and retype a personalized message to this specific prospect. Right? So for me, maybe I'll just say conversations about our past history, working with sales development for ABC company. Right, and that's still generic, but you get the point that I'm giving my team the ability to be a little bit more personalized and making them do a little bit more research on the past relationship that we had with this client before we actually send it out to the prospect. So not only are we utilizing the sequences to make sure that our message is more tailored to the person that we're reaching out to, and we try to categorize those by industry, by specific event, whatever identifier that we can utilize that puts a group of prospects together. But then we're also going a little bit further and adding a more detailed personal touch to our initial outreach to make sure that that prospect knows that we have a good understanding of what our past history is, and that ultimately we're in this to help solve the challenges that they're facing today. So that's at the end of the video today. Appreciate everybody jumping on and taking a look at this, but a lot more to come as the idea of personalization gets further and further down the line. So thanks for joining, and we'll see you next time.